Hello, my name's Carl and this is the Straw Bite Workshop. Now last week I posted a short 20-second movie on Instagram which seemed to grab a few people's attention. It's for a simple dog system for my bench, and what I was looking to do really is just to make this space a little bit more useful. So in this video we're going to be looking at how I made my bench top and how I've improved the bench top by putting a very simple dog system into the bench itself. Now the dog system is pretty simple. For it you need an M6 bolt, a nut, a wing nut, and some of these threaded inserts in your bench. Putting the threaded inserts in is actually pretty straightforward. You drill a pilot hole and then essentially make a recess with a Forstner bit before drilling out the hole to 8mm, and then the inserts slide straightforwardly in with an Allen key. As for the dogs themselves, the dogs are just simply cut from a hole saw on the drill press. It doesn't take too long. You can make them any size you like, and depending on your hole saw and the stock material, you can make them as thick as you want as well. Then again, with the Forstner bit, make a small recess on the top of the dog, again on the drill press, and then essentially the round element of the dog can be sort of sanded off. I use my new disc sander for that, to make a flat face to clamp against. As for the bolts themselves, you know, wing nuts make putting these things in pretty straightforward, and they can be just threaded onto an M6 bolt. The problem you have is the hex top, in that it doesn't allow you to screw the bolt down properly. So what you can do is, it's pretty simple really, you just take the bolt to the drill press, so then you can file down the hexagonal head, make it round, and then reduce that diameter down so that it fits the top of the wing nut. And then essentially the wing nut and the bolt go together. You place another nut on, wind that down, and then tighten these up, and they pretty much stay as a complete unit once you've made them. So the dogs can be used in a number of ways. You can just use them on their own into the inserts, or you can, I've made a strip here with holes on, 2 holes 70mm apart, and then the next hole is 140mm apart. Gives me a number of clamping options on the top of the table, and this can really form a bench hook, so you can sort of plane into your material on the top of the table saw. So I like my table saw. It's the biggest piece of equipment in the workshop. It takes up the most room, and shortly after getting the table saw into the workshop, I was really very keen to try and find a way of using the space much better. I went to the local DIY shed and bought a couple of pieces of 18mm MDF, cut them so that they fit on top of the table saw quite snugly. I used a simple pocket hole method of joining the 2 boards together to make a complete top, and then I used some pine to edge the worktop. The edging keeps the worktop on top of the table saw. So the first thing that I did was try to find a home for my engineer's vise. The initial holes that I made on the top allowed me to mount my vise, and really it was the distance of the holes of this engineer's vise which dictated the hole distances pretty much across the whole of the top. So the screw holes are 140 millimeters apart at their widest, 70 millimeters at their narrowest. So the engineer's vise on. Everything locked up tight. Can hold items in the vise. So I've turned a large tool in the workshop, a large power tool, into a really useful space for working on, and yeah, it's one of my favourite features of the workshop. Makes a really good use of what is really just a 10 by 8 shed in my back garden. So if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed to my channel, I would encourage you to do so. But until next time in the workshop, cheerio.